Thank you. Welcome also from my side. I'm very pleased to be here. It's my first time at SEMIC, and it's a lovely event, and thanks to the organizers for inviting me. It's a lovely venue, and Helsinki presents itself in the nice colors and with very friendly people. So yeah, I'm here today to talk to you about cross-border exchange of data between public administrations with the speakers, who will be speaking in two panels after each other, and then we're going to enter into a question and answer session. So we'll begin with Hans and Alenka. They will present us the cross-border exchange between Slovenia and Sweden, which is centering about the once-only principle project. Let me begin with shortly presenting Alenka. Alenka Žužek Nemec. She is a computer scientist and has a PhD in electrical engineering, and she's been with the government of Slovenia in the Ministry of Public Administration since 2004, and she coordinates numerous international and national activities and projects, for example, e-identity, trust services, e-government. So we talked yesterday, she's kind of doing everything. And Hans is a strategist on information supply in the company's registration office in Sweden. He is also coordinator for national and international collaboration projects and has worked in big, or better to say large IT projects for more than 25 years. From the requirements side as project leader, so he has a vast amount of experience, and since 2010 he's been a Swedish representative in these large-scale projects on EU level. For example, eSense, now TOP, EIDAS, and SDG regulations. So welcome here, and I give the floor to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. It should work just speaking.
Okay. Thank you. As you heard, I'm working quite a long time for the e-government related projects, and I think that during all these years we made quite a lot of good steps towards better public services delivery. However, we are still yet to seize the full potential of digital transformation, and definitely data sharing and implementation of the once-only principle is still something that needs a lot of attention, especially from the perspective of SDG regulation. And even in Tallinn Declaration, it is said that we have a great effort in this collaboration. That's why we decided to present this data sharing across border together with Sweden. The companies, according to Euro Chambers, more than 80% of the companies complain that they need to spend enormous time to find the proper rules, proper information, proper procedures to start their activities, to operate their activities, and enormous money just to register their activities. And on the other side, we have public administration that collects the data and the documents again and again, and we need to process them. So we are creating a cost on both sides, on the side of the public administration as well as on the side of the companies, and especially small companies, they are often discouraged to start their business activity in their nationally and also across border. And let us imagine the world when the administrative burdens are removed as much as possible, where taking into account this implementation of the once-only principle, when they don't need to give the data maximum once, so only once, and that the data are then shared by the public administration, between public administration. But we will, in a couple of minutes, the next minutes, we will present you how does it work, what needs to be done on the side of the public administration in order to make this work happen. So what is actually the once only principle? As said already, the citizens and business should provide the diverse data at maximum once, and the public administration should share those data nationally and across border, but of course with the great attention to the personal data protection and also other constraints like other security or subsidiarity. What does it mean for public administration? It means that processes that are run by when doing the services need to enable automatic data sharing, and instead of collecting those data from the users constantly and again, they should be retrieved from the authoritative original sources. This way we are also improving the data reliability. So far, this principle was promoted mainly through the strategic documents. But we have now the digital gateway ahead of us that will be shortly presented by Hans.
Yes, when talking about the top infrastructure, which we are going to do, we have to mention the single digital gateway, because since 2018, TOP has been identified as the backbone of the single digital gateway, and the 21 procedures have to be served by a technical system, which is the technical system that shall fulfill the one's only principle. And I will try later on to do a live presentation. Let's see if that works, hopefully. And since we are on an ISA² conference, I will also show it from another perspective. The user at the top, dealing with the user interfaces, and the single digital market on the next level, which is in fact a lot of single digital gateway there. And one's only architecture is top, and some other things that make us reach the interoperability level, so which is not just the technical and semantic, also the organizational and the legal. The European registers of base registers is not there yet, but that will be a very interesting development, and it will for sure be an important part of the information exchange. And then we have in the bottom the member states. The TOP project, we have to mention some short facts about it. It started in January 2017. It will probably end in March 2020. We don't really know. There are a lot more work to do. So let's see. There are 20 beneficiaries from 20 countries, and altogether 50 partners from public administration, universities, and companies. And it is coordinated by the Tallinn University of Technology, which in fact have a booth downstairs. So please visit them in the coffee break. I think now Alenka will talk some.
Yeah. Basic concept on the data exchange. We have in the top vocabulary, we have data consumers that are practically e-services that require some data. And this data can be, of course, gathered from the users, while we are searching for the possibilities that those data should be retrieved from the original sources. And we have usually we call them data providers. We have here the data registers that are controlled, usually data are controlled by the public administration. And we can have in different countries, we have different solutions for retrieving those data. We can have the direct connections between e-services and data sources. We can have somehow the sectorial, some national aggregators for different sources, or we can have also the national once-only principle layer. It means that the data consumers, e-services, they don't need to care which data source is the proper one to retrieve the data, but they are just contact and integrated with the national layer, and the national layer then takes care of the directing and the lookup to the proper data provider, to the proper data source. And we were challenged in the top project to put together, to combine all these different situations in the member states and put it and build around the so-called top federation model. And here is the kind of high-level component architecture. We realized that we need top component. We need also the centrally deployed part of the component that take care of all these stakeholders that are involved in this data sharing. And it's also, the central part is also aiming to do the semantic mapping between those data. And on the other hand, we have also the top building blocks, the top component that need to be then also built in the systems at the side of the data providers, on the side of services, as well as on the side of the country that we are retrieving data from. We call them data providers. So we developed these building blocks that are, we will present it with a live demo. And then the data requests and data then responses are exchanged via CEF e-delivery component. We standardized AS4 messaging. And last but not least, the authentication part, which is vital for the secure and reliable data exchange, we implemented through eIDAS node as required by eIDAS regulation. But of course, we are working on the real-life pilots. We covered in top maritime area, then updating company between the base register. But today, with Sweden, we worked in the business mobility that we will present from both perspectives. I now pass again to Hans.
Yes, and then I will shortly describe the Swedish infrastructure before I go in to try to do a live demo. And you can see here the Swedish once only layer, which is the composite service of basic information on companies, CSBIC. And in the bottom of the slide, you can see the data producers, which is the name in Sweden. Provider is the name on the top level. So the data providers are the Swedish tax agency, the statistic of Sweden, and the Swedish companies registration office, and now also TOP. because TOP is integrated in the Swedish ones only layer, so that all the Swedish authorities just have to connect to this layer in the same way that they are doing when they want information from the tax agency or the statistics. This is, of course, right now just for the company information. To fulfill the single digital gateway in 2023, we have to build this also for the private person information. Yeah, I think the picture says it all. We have business portal, we have municipalities and the government authority as the users, the consumers of the data. In TOP, since 2017, we have worked together with the Stockholm University eGov Lab, and we have worked with the Swedish Tax Agency, and we have had 2 pilots. One is our pilot, that's the business register pilot, which is registration of branches to foreign companies, and the other one is the tax registration for foreign companies. And they are both based on real needs, because they are manual today. So we are really in a hurry to build these services, because our users are waiting for it. So it's a good thing. This one is just to visualize if I will not succeed with the line demo. This is the first page for the branch registration e-services, and this is the tax application for foreign entrepreneurs. As you can see, the tax application is a little bit more complicated and just to register a branch. But it's 2 steps in the Swedish point of single contact, really. So the foreign entrepreneur have to first file for a branch and then do the tax registration. I am looking at the tax registration representative right now because I want to see if I say something wrong. It's okay, thank you. And the Swedish infrastructure looks like this. At the top you can see an EIDAS symbol, because we are using the EIDAS to log in in the Swedish e-services, which is really the point of single contact, and we are doing some checking of mandates in the business register. We are going through the once only layer, the national once only layer, and we are hitting the top infrastructure and connecting to, in this case, Slovenia. It should also be possible to use other channels like BRIS, for example. Now I am trying. This can work. It worked until now. Okay, this is the Swedish point of single contact, and as you can see, you have two. It did. Yeah. I have to. Okay. Yeah. I have to.
Perhaps someone can come forward and help us with this little IT glitch.
No, it's just I think I have to. No.
Thank you.
Now. It's a little bit tensed for a while there.
Okay. Thank you. It's working now. Thanks.
Okay, I lost. I have to look. This is the live demo. I'm using the EIDAS infrastructure. I really should click on Slovenia, but I don't because I don't have the test data to log in. So I will use the Swedish login. I'm now at the Swedish EID board, I will say. And my name is Nina Greger, and I will log in. I will give my consent for this. And this is an e-service that is going to be pre-filled with information from the data producer, the source of the information, so that the user don't have to fill it in herself, or that the authority don't have to Google for it or something. So I will proceed, and fill in the registration number, which is quite easy. I have to look at this. Slovenia. Now the data fetching will start. It will take a while. Okay, that's the data from the Slovenian business register. And I will... Now I have my own branch. Now let's try to... we can... Okay, how to do this then? Oh.
They tried it out before, and
Yeah, okay.
of course, and now it's not, but it's not working.
Oh,
Okay.
we lost some minutes there.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, now I will show to present you the Slovenian approach towards once only and nationally, and then I'm not so brave as Hans is. I will give you the demo, but through the slides. Well, in Slovenia, in the framework of national interoperability, we decided several years ago that we will centralize those functionalities that are required by all the sectors. So basically, for this data exchange and the procedure as such, following those modern principles, we have the building blocks for trust services, we have the building blocks for data gathering, and the new one is our platform for e-services that actually helps different sectors to quick win for all these requirements. And talking about once only, we have the national platform implementing once only. It was developed from the side of the need to have the fair decision a social security, and this is called a tray. And this tray is actually between e-services that require data in order to take different decisions, and between data providers, different data sources. We actually, at the moment, we have more than 50 different data sources that are connected through this tray. but we are aiming to reach, of course, the web services exchange of data. But we realize that there are certain legacy systems, certain legacy data sources that will not so quickly adapt to modernize their systems. So we developed also a special module, special component to retrieve those data via data distribution. And this is quite a good tool for those more, as I said, data owners that are a bit more of the legacy. And then we have another component that is helping our tray to play this once only principal role. This is asynchronous module. This module is retrieving data from the data sources that cannot provide synchronous access to data sources. We are speaking about, for example, banks system, insurance company that actually they are, I don't know, I think that according to legislation, they are not allowed to offer online data. So we kind of develop kind of waiting room for those data. And this tray with this different component to access those different data sources is already is integrated into many of the Slovenian system. But as I said, we are aiming to promote the central platform for e-services that actually implement all this regulation, ADAS regulation, SDG regulation, and all these modern principles. And with the help of this platform, we are actually very simple way, we are helping sectors to through the actually graphical component, they are connecting each field with the proper data. Of course, this YEP supports also the ADAS implementation for authentication part of the data. And our aim is to have all these three main components built in different sectors in the upcoming years. And those three building blocks, the groups of building blocks, we used also in the top implementation. We use them for to prove this top concept for the business mobility. Actually, we use it for cross-border temporary provision of activity. According to our legislation, the craft providers, they are for the health-sensitive activities. They need to prove their activity and do the application to the craft register. We also integrated two data providers, business register and this craft register. This is the picture we have. In top, we were with our main portal for cross-border registration of activity. We integrated, of course, our tray, our national once only layer. And for this, our layer, the top federation and the cross-border retrieval of data is yet another data source. And on the Swedish side, we have then your composite services on basic information on...
it's a long...
it's a long...
really.
So we have here, it's not Hans, but it's Sven actually, here, trying to access and to register activity for craft or roofing works. So I will go now through slides, but you can imagine it's a live demo. First, this Swedish entrepreneur or craft provider, he he's redirected into our platform for authentication, which in Slovenia acts also as an ADAS node. And then, because he, similar to the Hans presented how to choose the country, you need to choose the country, your country where you are coming from. And then you are directed, depending on this country selector, you are directed to the foreign ADAS node, in this case the Swedish one, and you are actually Sven authenticate on the side of the Sweden, not on the side of the Slovenia. This is purely, this is completely in line with ADAS requirements. Okay, we. This is the window where the Sven is aware what the personal data that are transferred from Sweden to authenticate Sven. Okay, now we have Sven with his data that were retrieved according to through ADAS node, and now we have also the top. Now we are in the layer of the once only principal exchange across border, and we have here. I was able to put this magnifying glass to in order to be more clear what's going on. So we have here the interface which says which data will be retrieved across border through this top infrastructure architecture, and here the user consent is necessary in order to continue this exchange. And this is done automatically, so data sharing from the Swedish through this business registry is then through top components sent to the Slovenian service provider or service consumer. Well, we for the end, I will just have some slides on this semantic. We actually needed to do the semantic mapping, which is quite a challenge. And we have developed the concept top model, and then all the countries that are involved in this top piloting, we were required to map our national data to this central concept model. As you can see, the green I hope you can see the green labels indicates that the data that are provided, that can be provided by certain member states, and we realize that there are certain countries that cannot provide different data. Well, we were working a lot with ISA, with SEMIC, activities.
Core vocabularies.
Yes, core vocabularies. And it's not only about data mapping, it's also about mapping the data, the e-services, the data providers, the capability of look up the proper source to matching the evidences. So it's quite a lot of work to do on this semantic layer. But of course, the semantic and technical level they are not the only one. To reach the once only at the large scale, at the use scale, we need to tackle also the other layers like organizational and legal. It was mentioned already by the many keynote speakers. It's if you want to reach all these goals by the regulations and by the strategic documents, we need a strong collaboration at the member states level as well as within the Commission with all these among these different programs, and hopefully DEP will bring this coherency and collaboration. And I always like to compare this, Yeah, no, cheetahs. They are cheetahs. They are the fastest land animals. They are my favorite, beside my dog, of course. Okay. But they are really they are running into the same directions, you know. But we have a 23 ahead of us deadline for once only implementation. Yeah. So I think that this is something that we must work on in the upcoming years. Thank you. Yes.
Oh. Thank you very much.
You know, it's here. It's
it's
0-0. So
it has been so for a while.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But it was my fault because I was not.
But this is.
I was not handling the.
We're fine. I think we're still in time. Thank you very much for your very interesting presentations. We'll get back to that with questions later on. So, and I give the floor now to Miia and Katja, who will speak about the Nordic Institute for Interoperability Solutions. So, please.
Thank you. Does this work? Hello? Do you hear me?
Perhaps as a short introduction to both of you, Miia is the Director of Government and IT Policy in the Ministry of Economic Affairs in Estonia since 2016, and she's dealing with the implementation of the digital agenda for Estonia, and has been managing and is managing the government CIO office, and she established the Nordic Institute herself. And thank you for being here today. And Katja Väänänen, she is has been working in public sector since 2015 and also was part of the process setting up the institute as a negotiator, and she is also working in strategic steering of Suomi services, so Suomi FE services.
And maybe we can add that we are both members of the advisory group of the institute that we are going to talk about, and we are going to talk about it in an organizational level now.
So
okay, thank you. Good afternoon. Are you still awake? Yes. Thank you. So our presentation is going to be about the Nordic Institute of the Interoperability Solutions, shortly NIS. And hopefully this presentation is going to be agile. We speak together with Katja by turns. So what are we going to talk about? We are going to explain why do we have in Estonia and in Finland the same interoperability infrastructure, and moreover, why do we have the joint venture for it. Then we will tell the story how we did it, how we established NIS, how it operates, what is our experience in this cooperation, what are the benefits, what are the challenges, and how do we envisage the future, which hopefully will come. So first of all, have you heard about the interoperability called Ekstål before? Please raise your hands who knew about Ekstål. Oh, quite a lot of you, thank you. But still to remind, and for those who have not heard about the Ekstål, Ekstål is an interoperability solution used in Estonia and in Finland, also in Iceland and Faroe Islands now, which enables to exchange data between organizations via public internet in a secure and encrypted manner. This is a very core of the Estonia we have today. This is one of the main infrastructure elements, thanks to what we have, the digital Estonia today. It operates already from 2001 in Estonia. It is compulsory to public sector and it's open to private sector. So it doesn't not only connect with our governmental IT infrastructure, which is distributed, but it also involves private sector players, for instance, banking sector and finance sector. But now, as our economies in Estonia and Finland are very closely connected, there are areas where we could really benefit if we have the same infrastructure and we can share data and we can have digital public services cross borders. For instance, our people are moving across the borders, businesses are moving across the borders, and it would be more convenient if the public services and the data would move together with the business and with the people. So this was the start why we were thinking that why not to have the same interoperability infrastructure, Ekstål, in both countries, and why not to federate and to exchange data over the borders, because there is an actual use case, actual need. We also share some of the common features of our societies which were encouraging, and most important of them is the openness. Estonia and Finland are both open countries, open societies. We value transparency. We believe that the government is responsible towards its citizens and businesses. We believe that the government has to be efficient. And this was encouraging. We also had both in place personal identification codes for our people. This is needed to identify people in the digital era. And this is the basis for any kind of interoperability. And this was in place. And we also share a kind of a pragmatic approach, a kind of a national behavioral feature which we share. We just like to get things done. We just like to get things moving. We just like to try them out. And knowing that cross-border data exchange is out there somewhere in the future anyway, so why not to try it out with Finland? Who else? It's our closest neighbor and cooperation partner.
Yes, I think we both are very quite straightforward and with the same goal. And when in Finland we had the discussion about the need for the main data exchange solution, Estonia had created Ekstål. So the prime ministers of the both countries signed MoU, a Memorandum of Understanding, which initiated the formal cooperation between the countries in respect of developing and maintaining a software environment enabling secure connectivity, searches and data transfers between governmental and private databases, as called Ekstål. So this started the formal cooperation between the countries, and now also Finland, the main data exchange solution is based on Ekstål today. So after that, what happened? What was the process of establishing NIS? After the signing of MoU, Population Register Center of Finland and Information System Authority of Estonia, so the national agencies that actually were the operators on the Ekstål, they signed temporary cooperation agreements that coordinated the Ekstål core development between the agencies and the countries. The cooperation was successful, and with that we realized that maybe we have a need and a will to deepen the cooperation with a more permanent solution. So, and we also saw that there is possibility for cost efficiency, and also we wanted to allow also other countries to come along to the cooperation. So after negotiations, March 2017, the formation and cooperation agreement was signed by ministers from both countries establishing NIS. And in June 2017, a Memorandum of Association was signed by the ministries. And then that was the step that NIS was established as a non-profit organization, that is, as an association under the Estonian law. That means that the home place of this institute is in Estonia. Then the CEO was recruited. He is Finnish, Ville Sirviö. And in August, NIS started its operations. And then by June 2018, NIS took over completely the Ekstål core development from the national agencies.
Now, how does the NIS look like? From the very start, we had the idea that the institute should be very light and lean in its structure. It should be easy to manage. It should be small and flexible. And as it is a non-profit association under Estonian law, it has the highest body above it, the general meeting, which is a body of the members. In our case, there are CIOs in the general meeting, Miss Anna-Maija Karjalainen and Mr. Siim Sikkut, who are authorized by our ministers to represent the country in the general meeting. Then to facilitate its work, general meeting has initiated an advisory group. Me and Katja are there in the advisory group. We represent our ministries there. And we have also representatives from RIA and Verco, it means from Ekstål operators in advisory group. Now the NIS itself is a small organization having a CEO, CTO, CDO and a project manager. CEO is Ville Sirvio. Our Chief Technology Officer is Petteri Kivimäki. He's sitting here in the hall too. Then we have a Chief Design Officer, Kero Libedu in NIS, and Project Manager Marit Mikson, who takes care of juridical issues and management issues of the office. So the CTO is the head of developments, but it doesn't mean that the NIS develops the core Ekstål technology itself. It buys it in. And Petteri is leading 2 development teams. They come from Go4 currently. These teams are chosen via public procurement procedure. And those 2 teams take care of all the Ekstål core development. CTO is also leading a working group, which is an actual technical cooperation body. And the working group has members from RIA and from Verco, from NIS, and also from development teams. And this is the body who decides the development backlog. They prioritize what should be developed in the next release, etc. In addition, NIS is managing and facilitating a global Ekstål community. There are many Ekstål users out there on the globe. We have use cases in Africa, in Latin America, in Southern America, in Middle East, in Asia, in Japan, and in former republics of the Soviet Union, Ukraine and Georgia and Azerbaijan, for instance. So there is a global community who comes together under the umbrella of NIS. NIS organizes an event once a year, all of those who are interested to come together and to talk about the Ekstål technology. So if you are interested in Ekstål technology, you're welcome to visit www.nis.org and find community there.
NIS has also a strategy for the institute and also for the product itself. So the most important thing in a NIS strategy is that it ensures high standard development and strategic management of the Ekstål. And also it's important that it's agile, innovating and influencing in the field of the e-governance. It's both a network and cooperation platform, and it actually very actively cooperates in Europe, welcoming new members and partners. And like Miia said earlier, we have already new 2 partners, Iceland and Faroe Islands, and Iceland is taking steps towards full membership. And our focus is in Nordic countries, but also in EU countries. It focuses on practical collaboration, sharing of experience and promoting innovation. And actually also it's very important, this Ekstål community, and the last community event was in September in Helsinki. And the next one will be next fall, every year. In carrying out its mission, NIS is guided, of course, by its members and by strategy, but also by its statutes, internal documents and operating standards. About the strategy of the Ekstål, the product, the focus is now on the version 7. And the development, we want that the development is done very iteratively, using agile development methods in a very efficient way and with an ear to the user field. So what does it actually mean? The aim is to first collect feedback, ideas and requirements from Ekstål users and different interest groups. Also the community brings in technical contributions, new ideas and initiatives. All this collected material will then be used as an input for the design phase, which aim is to produce product vision and high-level architecture for the version 7. More detailed product vision and architecture specification will be used as an input for an agile software development process starting in 2020. So there is design phase now, 2019, already going on. The piloting is 2020 and the first release is 2021. And the goal is that Ekstål is a modular, easy to implement, cloud-native, secure data exchange solution. And we also want that Ekstål is driving as one of the digital infrastructure components in EU countries and is a worldwide known technology solution.
So, how do we see our cooperation in this? To be very short, it's just great. And I'm not saying it because I cannot say anything else. But it really is great. It means our experience in cooperating in NIS has been even better than we expected. At the policy level, it means at the general meeting level and at the advisory group level and also at the working group at the technical level. We decide things based on consensus and there is always a willingness to find it because our main objective, and it's shared, is to get things going, is to move forward. And having that objective, we are adaptable, we are flexible towards each other. If changes might be needed in our positions nationally, but it hasn't been a problem at all to find a consensus at the policy level. At the working group level also, as there may have been a concern that how could we decide and agree on the development backlog, because of course there are different needs, a bit different things than Estonia and Finland want out of the core technology. It hasn't been true so far. There is no concern. There is a consensus, a true cooperation atmosphere, and the priorities of the two countries are very much aligned at the moment. So it's great. And you can ask Petri later on, am I true or not?
Yes. So what are the benefits so far that we find that this cooperation has brought us for both countries? For sure, NIS operations have led to a more deeper and permanent cooperation between the countries compared to the prior temporary agreements. Also, with regard to the development of Ekstål technology, the identified benefit is that through the institute, the development is centralized. It's focused. It's in one place, and it's under the member states' direction and according to the joint strategies. This has led to also that it has increased to the more clarity and visibility of operations, also in relation to the operators. Additionally, I have to say that overlaps in efforts have been removed, and the product is developed within a very efficient and agile way. And maybe more concrete benefits are arising once the content of the next version 7 is laid out. Moreover, the combination of the resources brings cost savings as well as resourcing efficiency for the member states. Also, this format of the cooperation, it allows and enables cross-border cooperation among several countries and allows multilateral operations, which was not previously possible. Earlier, bilateral agreements have been required, but now we can have multilateral cooperation. I think the very good example is that we have welcomed new partners as Iceland and Faroe Islands, and Iceland is moving towards the full membership. We have also had good discussions with other European Union countries, and NIS has decided to have a proof of concept with Norway Diffie. Also, this cooperation that we have now with the Institute, it allows, if we decide so, to extend the cooperation to other components and maybe even to other products. But right now, we are concentrating on the X-Road. This has also we have learned from each other in terms of digital development practices, and this competence can be utilized in other national digitalization projects too.
Now, what about the challenges? Of course, there are challenges. And the main challenge has proven to be bringing real cross-border data exchange into life. This is something that is out of the NIS scope, actually, because NIS is providing the software which allows it. But it's up to the agencies on both sides of the Gulf of Finland to make it really happen, to exchange data. Why it's so difficult? It's difficult because it needs an alignment of priorities. It means political, administrative, financial, and there has to be a willingness to deal with unexpected technical issues because those issues certainly arise. And here can be an example of business registers. For instance, X-Road data exchange is technically available between Estonian and Finland business registers. It's there, but it's not very easy to use for the lawyers in the courts who really need the data. So now the user interface needs a bit of improvement. And as it is not at the top of the development priorities among the other development priorities in the business register, it again waits for financing. In addition, the data itself is available via different pan-European platforms. The lawyers can access the data they need, but they have to pay for it. And now, exchanging data between Estonia and Finland for free via X-Road would cut someone's revenues, and this is not favored in some cases. So different kind of practical, juridical, administrative problems arise along the road. But what is needed to make it happen is a real use case, a real business case, a real need to exchange data. If the need is there and the sense of urgency is there that we have to do something and we have to do it right now, then the alignment of priorities is possible. And of course, underneath all the operations and the projects, there has to be trust, mutual trust to each other. If we don't trust data from abroad, the data exchange will never happen. And that's true.
Yeah, well, you said it very well, and I think it's really a matter of having this agency level good cooperation to solve all these coming up issues that with compatibility and readiness to make the cooperation successful. But there are also, of course, legal issues that we need to face, that there are differences in legislation, even though our countries are quite similar, but of course there are differences. And these also have to be brought up and to be fixed. Yeah.
So how do we see the future? the coming future. People out there, our citizens, they demand prompt, personalized, easy-to-use public services. They want to have the same user experience they are with Google or Facebook or Bolt or Wolt or whatever private sector service provider. They want to have the same level of service from their governments too. And now, what if our government interacts with us like our personal virtual assistants using our digital twins? Let's say I want to move from Estonia to Finland and I need to get a health insurance for me and for my family. And then I just take my phone or my watch or whatever device I use at that time in the future, and I just ask the phone, "Hi, my government, how are you today? What do I need to do to get the health insurance in Finland?" And then bureaucrat in Estonia and Aurora AI in Finland start processing my request behind the scenes and find answers for me. And I even don't have to know that the data is crossing borders while processing my request. And I will get the answer. And this future could be true if we have the common infrastructure, the X-Road, if we have the next version of X-Road, it means X-Road 7, it will allow us to do so. We have to cooperate closely at the tech level with our tech teams to realize this future. But this is really possible, and we see it is possible. And that way we can move towards seamless, personalized, life event-driven and borderless public services. And what if I can ask my phone the same question, but about the different countries in Europe? Why not to have the same level of service all over the Europe? So Estonia, Finland, Iceland and Faroe Islands dream that X-Road is a shared technology platform all over the Europe. And there is nothing much to say. Just come and join us.
Yes.
Try out the X-Road technology. If it suits you, if it provides answers to your questions, then it's free of charge, open source software, and you are very welcome to share that road.
Yes, if you are interested, please contact us. NIS do welcome new partners and new members. So let's discuss more about this together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miia. Thank you, Katja. Those were just in time presentation. So I'd like to open the discussion, question and answer session. I received a few questions, but first of all, what interests me what you said last, perhaps. That was about the level playing field you need. That you said mentality-wise, Finland and Estonia are kind of on a level playing field. Technically, also, would you say that is possible with any other country too?
Yes. As we have a focus on Nordic countries and EU countries, I think we already are doing a lot of cooperation and finding common solutions. So I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be possible. I think it would be about time.
Yes, it is possible, of course, but there has to be a need and a mutual interest. A dedicated leadership also is something that is needed. It is possible.
Yeah, very interesting. I'm just going to do a bit of mix and match, so we get our both teams to interact. So if you want to ask questions to the other panelists, please do. I had a very interesting question on the app for Alenka and Hans, and it's about lawyers. on courts. They're concerned by reliability of traces in court. When we interoperate without storing data, they ask for a signed PDF. I know that from Germany, it actually is the case often. So what's your opinion on this?
Yes, in the Nordic countries we are not using the document, so we haven't piloted because we use the data. But in other use cases in top we have exchanged documents. Do you know anything more about that, Alenka?
About speaking about proof, yeah.
Yeah, the proof, yes.
I think that perhaps we should also take advantage to trust such evidences through trust service that is offered by the EIDAS. We are talking about seals, so this is one element. But of course, these e-seals are not by per se equalize as a handwritten signature when we are talking about e-signature trust service. So this is element, but I think that one of the core vocabularies dealing with this trust to the evidences and PDF documents is something that we need to tackle, in the upcoming activities to reach the once only for SDG.
Okay, right. Perhaps this would be a solution for X-Road too, do you think? Do you have issues like that of proof?
Actually, we don't.
Okay.
We have our personal IDs, digital IDs, and we use the EIDAS regulation framework to deal with this issue. So it's based on ID card in Estonia. And it's based your ID number in Finland also.
Okay. Where do you actually see the institute in 3 to 5 years, or how do you see it?
Well, maybe we aim to have more members, maybe 3 to 5 more members, and because of that, I think the organization will be slightly bigger to manage, but still light and agile. Of course, then we will have a new X-Road version already that is cloud native and secure and agile and thriving. Yes, those anyway. You want to add something?
Yes, the main focus would be that we would like to have more members, partners first, and full membership, hopefully. And we are looking forward the X-Road 7, the unicorn.
What was the biggest concern in creating a joint venture?
My biggest concern was how could we agree on the development backlog? Because there must be differences what Estonia wants and what Finland wants out of the core X-Road software. But as I said before, it hasn't been a problem at all. There is a consensus and the priorities are aligned and the working group is working effectively to prioritize the development backlog. Maybe it's because of the state of the play that we are developing currently the features which must be there. So it's easy to agree on those things which must be there. Once we have more members and we reach to the point when we have to decide about nice to have features, then maybe it becomes more difficult.
Yes. Yes, it's always a discussion at what is going to be developed in niche. It doesn't prevent member countries to have some more their own development in this product, though. So it's more about discussion and what is going to be brought under niche development. Yes.
Yeah, perhaps speaking of data to be shared to agree on what needs to be brought under a framework. I have a question for Alenka and Hans on shared data. In many countries, data is not even shared in the country. Should we not work first on OOP in the country before we do cross-border ones only?
I think that will take too long time. Yeah, we have to work on all levels to reach interoperability.
Well, perhaps that kind of adds to the next question. What is the overall level of readiness of the TOP platform for the single digit gateway requirements?
I can say something. Yeah. It's as you saw, we have exchanged 5 attributes. That's not much, and it's all about the company information. But we have an infrastructure and we have exchanged data, and the thing we have to do now, I think we're more than 10 countries exchanging data now, and we have to have the same level of all the European member states, and then we will start to use the infrastructure now to exchange more business data and in the end personal data, and I think that we must to reach the goal of the single digital gateway in 2024.
Perhaps it is really a good first question regarding the first nationally, because I think that if I agree with Hans that we must work on both levels, but still the precondition is to have the nationally available data first, you know, because otherwise you cannot exchange. And we learned from TOP that, for example, in ideal world, for example, we should have like data map put on the once only layer in each of the country. So the data consumer or each service that requires certain data should only, put the data that are then mapped to the national data. So, and to be sure that this source is authentic and the data is really originated from the proper source. It's the matter of the national framework, and this is something that actually, as Hans pointed out, we exchanged the limited number of data, you know, and this is we started with the simple cases, not dealing with the personal data of the citizens, which is definitely more challenge to be tackled. But we are in TOP. We are aiming to also to cover this, to try to bring some solutions. But I'm a bit skeptical. I mean, I'm a bit worried. You know, you mentioned that I'm working since 2004. We were involved, for example, in a STORK project for cross-border authentication, and it took us like more than 10 years, and we are not still ADAS already, at the EU scale. So I think that reaching the 2023 and having OEP already, we will really need to run fast, you know. So.
Yeah, the goals are set high, but from these simple cases you mentioned, could you identify challenges linked to semantic interoperability? And if so, how would you deal with them on a larger scale? That was one question that was deemed very interesting here from the audience.
But I think I mentioned it that, you know, really we are in TOP, we practically were connected point to point, you know, and this is something that it's not doable if we are talking about EU level. So this is something that definitely we will probably step by step will put on this EU level the countries that will be ready to connect. For example, through your solutions, definitely we will have different phases and different countries that will be able to connect. I don't think that we will be able to connect all the countries in 23, you know.
Yeah, so you wouldn't say there's one certain hard case of interoperability, of semantic interoperability that is nearly impossible to solve or really hard to solve, or could you, because that was, I think, one of the core questions here.
Yeah, we have tried this for many years now on the business registration side, and we have worked in a project called EBR, European Business Register, since 1996, and it's almost impossible to translate all the semantic data. We have to accept that some data is isolated to one member state, but if we can connect as many items as possible, there will be a higher level of interoperability, and that is good. But I don't think that we will reach 100%.
So what would you say are the major missing building blocks for cross-border exchange? That was...
Yeah, the legal ones, of course. We have. I think that we have kind of black boxed legal problems in top, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to pilot. So there are still questions about legal interoperability, and also of course we are charging for the data. That's a big barrier, really.
Yeah, and I know that in Germany also.
Yeah.
Okay. There's in this connection of speaking about Germany, and I know that's also a problem in my country. Would X-Road be applicable in a country like Germany, where we do not have a nationwide person identifier, but where you have to identify by place of birth, name, and birth date for every search and register? So is an identifier necessary requirement in any case?
This is a too technical question for me, but I think that X-Road can change messages of whatever data. But it's hard to identify just if you don't have the single unique identifier. So technically X-Road can change whatever messages.
Also, a question was lessons learned from using agile development. What were the lessons learned for developing an information system, referring to what you said about the backlog?
You mean what is the experience, our experience of agile and development? I think it pays off because we focus on more on user needs now. We are prioritizing the backlog. It means prioritizing, it means what's most important, what brings most value to the users. And it's fast. We have several releases per year now, which we didn't before from Estonian point of view. So we think it's a way to go forward. Actually, we don't see other ways.
So also, what kind of information is exchanged actually now between Finland and Estonia on the basis of X-Road?
Business registers can exchange data. This is the use case. Population registers are close to do so. They are
on the negotiation level, and there are still some differences on legislation level, but they are about to find solutions on that too, I believe. Yes, and there are discussions about taxation and tax registration to use X-Road that would bring more efficient and accurate way to exchange data. Yeah.
Okay.
We exchange data a lot,
but not via the Ekstål Federation. There are different means to exchange data, but it takes man-hours now. We want to take the man-hours out and have machine-to-machine exchange. This is the aim.
Yes, and Ekstål is a secure way to do the data exchange, so that's why we prefer that.
So there was also a question of banks being able to join the NIS. Would that be possible? Like speaking of tax, also banks?
Not for NIS. As for NIS, we have as partners and members countries or maybe areas of the bigger countries and so on.
But our national Ekstål ecosystem is open to private sector. They operate there. They exchange data via over the Ekstål with public institutions, vice versa.
Yes, in Finland, the public administration is obliged to use Palveluväylä, which is the main data exchange solution in Finland based on Ekstål. Yeah.
In Estonia, over 400 firms are connected to Ekstål, and it's growing every year.
Oh, that's impressive. Okay. Right. I think most of the questions from the audience came in by the app or now were answered, but thank you very much. Is there anything you would now from the discussion like to learn perhaps from the other panelists? Any questions you have?
Who would benefit most out of your project?
Of progress, yeah, I think both. Really, if I can answer that, because the users are having more simplified process to start a business. The authorities have secure data and more straight on processes for handling cases. And the politicians also have the possibility to really create a cross-border movement, which is now absent.
Thank you.
I have a question also to you. You said that you have a POC proof of concept with Norway. Norway is quite a big country, not like Faroe Island. So are you planning to replace infrastructure or just to integrate and enhance the infrastructure? What are the purpose with the POC?
Actually, I'm not sure. Maybe Petteri could answer that better, but it's going to be with a DFI, with the agency,
yes,
agency level, and they have just made the decision on that. So, but I'm not actually very well informed what is actually going to be, what it's going to include.
It's going to be a pilot, not a large scale.
Okay.
Perhaps, there's help here.
Petteri is giving a helping hand.
Yes, experts coming. CTO.
Thank you. My name is Petteri Kivimäki. I'm the CTO of NIS. So the question is, what is going on with Norway currently? Yeah, we have started discussions with them, and we have shared some initial material with them, and they are currently looking into it now. And we have initially talked about having a 2-day workshop during which we would implement a small pilot or POC project with them. We help them to set up their local Ekstål testing environment, and after that they could test their own information systems there. Some one or two use cases maybe, and after that they would have some hands-on level experience with Ekstål, and they have a better picture of what they can actually do with it.
Great,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's no more questions from the audience, I'd like to thank the panelists and the speakers. Thank you. And I think we have a break now, right? Okay.
Yes.